this right here. So we're gonna actually talk about
What was that?
Another Spartan wearing power armor versus a Spartan wearing Spartan armor.
But come on, man.
I think Master Chief would win 100% of the time. Someone has already plugged a chatbot into an Optimus Prime, or worse, a Megatron, and it's currently plotting our demise. Are we live? Gentlemen, welcome to another episode of RPG Really Passionate Geeks. Here we are yet again. You've got JW, you've got Kiwi, and you've got JW. Who knows which JW that is? I don't know. We just both go by it, and it actually kind of works. This week, we're coming to you with an episode that's all about video game items. That's right, the things that you hope to see drop. Speaking of legendary drops, let's go quickly to our intros for everybody here. I'm John, I'm a really passionate geek, and I'm going to pass it over to Kiwi.
What's up? Great intro, by the way, coming in with all of that energy. Just a Helldiver fiasco going on.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
You just had to say it. Yep. And hey, everyone, Justin here, and I'm just super glad that, it's Friday and we're all wearing our gamer shirts. I love it. PlayStation, Overwatch, and Final Fantasy.
This old thing.
Literally this old thing. I think I've had this shirt for maybe 5 or 6 years now.
the PlayStation 1 shirt, the OG.
Yeah.
I hear the sound. I hear the startup sound. And by the way, Kiwi, big props for just like putting on the scandal sandals and wading right into this river of insanity that's going on right now.
Like
with
that.
all this Helldiver stuff.
What? Just casually walking by and then drop a bomb and then keep going.
I think I can safely say we all really enjoy having our PlayStation IDs, right? Like, I think, is that fair?
Well, before we get into it, let's officially go into the topic. Let's officially break it down.
Hold on. Okay, hold on.
All right, so if you guys are ready, Helldivers officially announced today to their whole community, as of May 6th, all new Helldivers on Steam will be required their Steam account to be connected to the PlayStation Network account, and all current players on Steam will mandatorily have to switch their logins on May 30th in order to be able to play Helldivers. What this means, and Jason Thor Hall, CEO of Pirate Software, the son of the famous South Park Blizzard meme, made a great statement today saying that he is going to refund his account or ask for a refund. He may or may not get it. He's just doing it for fundamentally. He switched his review, and keep in mind, this is a person who played almost 200 hours of gameplay already on Helldivers. Wow. Switches the review from positive to negative and is making a public statement saying this is unacceptable in the gaming. And real quick, reasons why it's unacceptable. One, it was kind of bait and switch in the beginning because it did say day one that a third party will be required. But again, they didn't really state that, even though Sony is the publisher, which a lot of people kind of put 2 and 2 together. But again, it didn't really state that in the beginning. And then 2, only 69 countries have access to the PlayStation Network or are allowed to access the PlayStation Network. And the rest of the countries, there's 195 independent countries around there, would not have access to it. And yes, you could get a VPN or you could fake your address, but again, that's not really the point.
Well, and let's not forget the biggest thing is this timing. Their timing is so trash. It's they waited like this perfect 90-day sort of period where everybody buys in and they get their Steam accounts right and they're playing on PC and they don't know this bomb's about to drop and it's past, a lot of their refund dates, right? So they're kind of stuck with this game they can't play now. Or, right, don't get me wrong, I'm an avid PlayStation user. I love PSN. They've done some really shady, weird things lately, but it's not hard. You can do it. It's free. I get it, but you shouldn't have to. You should not have to do that. And it's just, it's a wrong move in my opinion from Sony forcing Arrowhead to do this. You can tell they're forcing Arrowhead. They don't want to do this necessarily.
Yeah, and that's the other reason I forgot to add data. How is data being manipulated? How is data being handled by PlayStation? Because that's another fear that the Steam users have is like, I don't want my data to be collected by PlayStation because PlayStation does own all their data. All the PS, and rightfully so. So does Microsoft. Rightfully so. If you are connected to their ecosystem, just like Apple, if you are connected, your data is being mined.
Well, Justin, in a world where, yesterday it came to light that Google paid Apple $20 billion for search to be the preferred search for Safari alone. And that's really just, again, about data. In the era of AI, where all models are trained off of these big data lakes or are largely referring to them as their parameters, the person with the deepest data lake wins. And soon that'll be the country with the deepest data lake, by the way. But going back to Helldivers, Kiwi, I completely align with your point, which is this. We as gamers can sometimes be, there's plenty of caricatures of we're like, did you realize that you overcharged me by 14 cents? Like we sometimes get that and deservedly get that stereotype. However, I do so strongly believe in voting with our dollars and setting precedent. Like right now, if we say it's okay that this happens, it'll be even more okay the next time that it happens. And that's how we normalize the loss of privacy and the loss of principle, right? You pay for the game, you signed basically a good faith agreement, and now that's not what ultimately is happening. And I think there has to be a clear message, even with a game as incredibly good as Helldivers, with so much momentum, it's all anybody's playing, and now they've dropped. So I'm super bummed. Like I'm super disappointed in them.
It is, and they could have approached it a little bit differently, right? I mean, it's kind of like they just said they almost use it as a gimmick, right, for their community and the roles that they play, but they could have tiptoed into it a little bit better, where it's like, hey, kind of our hands are tied. We really want to make this a better community, XYZ, whatever excuses you want, but just to kind of drop the bomb and pull the rug out and say, all right, guys, here we go, sign up. And hey, look, we'll give you some medals if you go and do this. Like, it's almost a smack in the face.
Well, let's be honest. Like the CEO of Arrowhead has made it known to realistically, Helldivers was popular because of the community, because he was such a strong advocate. Someone asked him on Twitter, hey, we're never going to get PvP. He's like, we're never going to get PvP. We're always going to be PvE because it's us against the enemy. And we want to be a community. And I want that same feeling as camaraderie, as in democracy, as in our unit. Yeah. I'm here for it, so
for liberty.
For liberty, right? I'm doing my part.
Nice.
I'm doing my part. So are you doing your part? Going back to that community thing, that's so funny because everyone kind of looked up to Arrowhead, and I've seen a lot of comments saying I'm disappointed how Arrowhead was, such an advocate for the community and how we're against big corp. We're against layoffs. We're against all this stuff. But then it's like, okay, then you turn around and do this. What's going on here?
Yeah, little, and the like I said, I'm going to try to advocate for Arrowhead specifically because I think the big bad in the room is Sony on this one. And Arrowhead is a company. They're going to do what's best for the company at the end of the day, whatever contracts they have signed. It's a shady and unfortunate move. And I feel like Helldivers is about to take a big drop in their player retention.
Oh, 100%. Well, speaking of the publisher, so I just want to make it very clear. So Sony is the publisher. Mm-hmm. Okay. And to break it down even further for our non-gaming audience, think of music artists. Do you remember Taylor Swift? She had a publisher.
You remember that girl, Taylor?
Do you remember that? Do you remember that celebrity, John?
Bells.
So Taylor had a publisher, right? Music artists have publishers that helps promote them and do their marketing, but they own the licenses. That's the most important key part, right? And the whole drama with Taylor Swift was she didn't own her song. So what she did, which is brilliant, pure genius, is she re-released all her albums under her name and her rights. Mm-hmm. And some people are like, why would she re-release, Red, twice? That's the reason why. It's like, okay, if you're going to listen to this on Spotify, you're going to pay me to listen to it on Spotify. So with Helldivers, their publisher is Sony. and Sony's saying, "Hey, we pretty much own you guys, and you're gonna do this. You're
Yeah.
gonna give us
We
the
got
data."
shareholders we want to impress.
I mean, yeah, you forgot who your publisher is. Hello.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I think Arrowhead should do? They should do a Taylor Swift. What
Full
if
Tay
they
We just go Tay
re-release
and go
their
like
game?
Full
Helldivers Liberty version.
Liberty
Yes,
Edition. Right, the
Helldivers,
Snyder cut.
the Liberty version with Arrowhead as the publisher. That will be so mind blown. If they do that, that is the biggest.
That would definitely set a precedent. Speaking
That
of
would come
John.
in like a wrecking ball.
Yeah. Like a wrecking ball.
That
Oh, wait,
that will
that's not
just piss
Tay-Tay.
off
Hold on.
Sony so hard. I could just see it now, like Sony literally, like fist in the air, like why?
Oh yeah, and with the whole thing with the PSN game titles that people lost, right? Because they don't technically own
And that
them or
would just
whatever.
popularity score for Arrowhead would just shoot up
Oh yeah,
100%.
be modern
If you're
day
listening, Arrowhead.
David and Goliath. Yeah. All right. Okay. So we cleared the air with that, right?
We
want to get
got
back
it
on
out the way.
topic?
We got it out the way.
All right, so I have the incredible honor of being this week's Navi. For those listening or watching for the first time, each week one of us of the Really Passionate Geeks is our Navi, of course, the little spirit that guided you in all of the Legend of Zelda games. And we get to surprise the other two Really Passionate Geeks with some sort of theme, and usually it's nostalgia-based, and it absolutely is this time. And it has a lot to do with something like this right here. So we're going to actually talk about...
What was that?
For all the listeners that can't see the video, that was John hitting the light in the ceiling.
You know,
Turning
it
up his
mostly
room.
survived. It seems to still be functioning. But we're talking about video game weapons, y'all.
Look at that.
Nice.
This is Long Claw. So this is Game of Thrones right here.
I was going to
Jon
say
Snow's
it's a little medieval. I was going to say King Arthur's Excalibur, but
certainly has King Arthur energy.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I was thinking Melville, Witcher. Witcher.
Superman.
I was about to say Last Witch Hunter, freaking Vin Diesel.
Whoa, Last Witch Hunter, the best movie ever made. Yes.
What? I mean, it was good.
How has Vin? You know what? Vin Diesel doesn't just deserve Oscars; he deserves a Nobel Prize. Can we just all align on that, please?
Oh,
I mean,
maybe when he comes out with like Fast and Furious, I don't know.
Yeah, the dude has generational wealth. I mean, his children's children is going to be. Let's be honest.
His grandkids will be starring in Fast and Furious movies. He'll like will it to them.
You know, Vin Diesel look is not hard to portray because there's a lot of Vin Diesel, looks out there in Hollywood. But what makes Vin Diesel stand out is his DMX raspberry voice.
Yeah.
You know,
and he talks really slow too. It's not just deep; it's really slow.
A win is a win.
That's if he talks. Like Pitch Black. What did he have? Like 5 lines in that movie?
Riddick, baby, yeah.
Yeah.
That is an amazing franchise, by the way. The comics, they actually had some animated work that
yes.
But I'll tell you what, though, I fell in love with Vin Diesel way earlier than that. Boiler Room. You guys remember Boiler Room?
Oh wow,
the original Wolf of Wall Street.
I haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he had some great lines in there with Ben Affleck was in there. It's a great movie, by the way. It is the original Glenn Ross Pursuit of Happiness, Wall Street original movie, and he really has him there.
See, Boiler Room was great, but I have to say I prefer Vin Diesel's work in the Four Loko-esque version of Mission Impossible and John Wick, otherwise known as Triple X.
Triple X.
Oh man,
my God, it's an energy drink in a movie, basically.
Have you watched the first one recently? It was on TV about a week ago. And
yeah, it aged as well as like a slice of
Velveeta. Oh man, I totally forgot that movie.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that movie. That is a movie that you should forget.
They made more than one. Yeah, there was more than one.
Didn't Ice Cube play one of them when they couldn't get Vin Diesel anymore? I think they got Ice Cube to play one.
Oh God, I'm gonna regret this, but let's just Google how many Triple X. Ooh, I have to be careful.
You may not Google that. Where's your wife? Where's your wife?
I think I downloaded the wrong movie.
I think I Googled the wrong movie.
Yes, we have Triple X State of the Union, and Triple X Return of Xander Cage in 2017. Wow. Oh, and a short film, the final chapter, The Death of Xander Cage.
Wow.
So there's
Oh,
really like
wow.
3.5 of them. Wow. Wow,
That is
guys.
way too many movies.
Okay.
Well,
Whatever,
with that said, let's talk about our favorite video game items from any time in history, all the way back to the Tanuki suit, all the way back to the first plasma grenade you ever
Tanuki
threw
suit.
in Halo, whatever that might be. But let's talk first weapons, then we'll talk armor, then we'll talk spells. So first, weapons. What are 3 of the most iconic weapons that you remember from your 5 to 7 decades of gaming each?
Well, you just Master Sword. You have to drop the Master Sword. I mean, Link just battling throughout time with the same Master Sword over and over. It's iconic.
You remember when you found it in Link to the Past?
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's always one of the most iconic moments in those games, and it's just badass. I mean, the only other sword that would match is Trunks' sword, from Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Justin.
Yep. I love that sword, but it killed me when I found out it was.
Oh yeah.
And how?
I'll go next. I'll throw out really unique weapons. So if you remember playing Soul Calibur,
yeah, that's the whole point.
A game based on weapons. Street Fighter version based on weapons, right?
Yeah.
My favorite weapon from that Ivy's.
What sword?
It is called the Snake Sword.
Yes.
The Snake Sword originated from London, but the sword would be a solid sword. But then when she flips it with her wrist, it turns into like a whip, like a metal whip, and that just threw off my opponents, especially when like playing my brother. I would do like a leg sweep because you'll be standing and you can do a leg sweep with the sword. It will like swoop down and get him by the feet.
Just spam that move.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that original Soul Calibur, I got that on Dreamcast, and you actually had the VMU with a visual memory unit with all like 5 megabytes that was stored on that thing at the time, and it had, when you played as Ivy or Voldo or whoever or Siegfried, you'd see a little like chibi version of your character on that screen. That was like my favorite part of the whole game. But man, that was different. It was so dependent upon the weapons, and it completely changed your playstyle. That was
your playstyle.
That was genius. Man,
and the cameos too.
They don't get enough.
Calibur. They had Darth Vader, the Joker. The cameos were insane.
Oh yeah,
Yoda.
So I'm going to go a slightly different route, but it actually has a similar theme. But I'm going to go with Simon and Richter Belmont from the Castlevania series.
Oh,
another
vampire
whip.
killer.
Another whip.
Yes.
Yeah. That was I remember that takes us back to like first gen Castlevania. That game was at least as hard as Metroid or Ghosts and Goblins. Like,
100%.
my heavens, the life lessons that I took away from that game, resilience in like dealing with trauma, like emotional damage. Yes, from that.
You know what? It wasn't really that hard of a game. I mean, it was a nice balance of strategy and normal difficulty. I mean, it wasn't like super hard, like Elden Ring or like Lion King.
Nothing's.
Or Aladdin, right? All these Disney movies are
Lion
hard.
King.
I don't know why they're hard. But Castlevania, you realistically could play throughout. You can rent the game and you can literally beat it within that weekend.
Yeah.
If you say so. I think the first Castlevania game I beat was the 64 version. I don't think I beat a side scroller or anything like that until 64.
What was the 64 version? Was it 3D?
Yeah. It was.
I didn't play the 64 either.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite ones.
I've always played this 2D.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I love playing those 2D ones, but the 64 version was so good.
You would think it's harder.
Legacy of Darkness. I never played this.
You would think it's harder 3D because 2D you can memorize the patterns easily.
Yeah, but this is like, in the early like Turok and things like that, right? Where it's pretty linear as far as what you can do in the
Doom-esque 3D, right? Where it's 3D.
Oh, speaking of
Facade
weapons
3D.
and Doom, I mean
BFG.
I was going to say BFG. I was going to say the BFG 9000.
Yes.
You know,
Oh.
I as great as the BFG was, I got a lot more joy out of that shotgun.
The
I
sawed
gotta
off
say.
shotgun
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
That was, oh man, that saved my bacon so many times.
It's just
That was
the
my go-to.
beefiness of it, the power. Every time you just like pop an eyeball out of a demon with that shotgun or something, you know what I mean? And the percussion of it, and it's just so good. I love it.
Or let's talk about the hidden weapon, the chainsaw.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah. In Doom 2, you could find that pretty quick in Doom 2.
Gears of War. Slap a chainsaw on a gun. It's even
Yeah.
better.
Even better.
Boy.
Well, I know from your shirt, John, you're probably going to mention the Buster Sword, but I love the Buster Sword just like as everybody else. But I will say my favorite sword of all the Final Fantasy is the Gunblade from Final Fantasy VIII. Talk about
iconic.
Well,
Yeah.
it also changed the gameplay too, because if you remember, you had to time your button press move in order to get that extra damage to pop off with the gunblade.
Yep.
And it looks badass, you know.
The cutscenes were so slick. Oh, I used to love watching those.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah. Well, let's see. I think probably in the sword category, there's obviously a ton. It's a very iconic weapon, right? The Keyblade.
Oh,
Keyblade. Got to mention the Keyblade.
100% the
Gotta call it
Keyblade.
out.
Which one do you think will win
the
the fight?
Assassin's Creed? The
The shink shink.
the blade thing?
What
Yeah.
is it
the
called?
hidden blade.
There's Kiriko uses the same thing in Overwatch.
You know, were you ever able to? I'm trying to think back. In most World of Warcraft expansions, you were able to get the iconic weapon of the enemy. Were you able to ever wield Frostmourne in World of Warcraft? I don't think you were.
I don't remember, but I do remember you can do Illidan's blades.
You could get his blades.
His
you can
blades,
get Farak's
yeah.
axe. But yeah, I don't think you could ever get that. But Frostmourne is way up there. Way up there.
Oof. I still want to get the limited edition Frostmourne swords. There's like 500 of them. There's a lot of
Is there
fakes.
really?
There's a lot of copycats, but I love the limited edition.
I think that could go right.
Yeah, dude.
there.
I remember seeing it on Pawn Stars. Someone brought it in, and they didn't actually buy it. They were just like, "No, we don't want this sword."
Yeah, that would be a wonderful place to be.
You guys
Yeah, the
ever played-
replicas are $600. The real ones, my heavens.
You ever
knows?
played Dragon Age?
That's a great one.
My letter opener.
Really
That's
open
one of
those
the-
letters, man. Crit
That's
letter
one of
open.
those old GameStop freebies back when people got mail.
I mean, that's still a great piece. It's better than buying the $5,000 sword.
Yeah. Okay, so let's pivot over to maybe something that isn't going to be as front of mind as weapons. Armor. Some of the armor from games. Of course, that takes us to more of a like RPG, more of an RPG sort of setting. But do any armors come to mind for you guys?
Dude, with Halo, Master Chief's armor. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't have to be an RPG. That's some of the most iconic armor, especially right now.
Master Chief, and also the power armor in Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Power armor.
Huge right now. Yeah. Oh, who do you think? You think Master Chief can take somebody in some power armor? Another Spartan wearing power armor versus a Spartan wearing Spartan armor.
But come on, man.
I think Master Chief would win
Power,
100% of the time.
power armors are 1950s technology, though.
Oh yeah.
That's like
Right? He's doing
comparing-
backflips in his armor and stuff, and the power armor.
Power
But they
armor
would
still
both
needs
lose
like
to Samus.
WD-40. It's like, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Samus would solo all day.
Yeah, Samus would just like do the Smash Brothers throw and just toss them off the side.
That's it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Samus. So that was iconic. Okay, hands up, because we didn't have the internet back then.
Oh.
We didn't have like the social media, the instant gratification. When you beat Metroid for the first time and you saw Samus take off her helmet and you found out it was a girl, who was shocked?
It's a trick question. No one has ever beat the original Metroid. It's a trick question.
Yeah, he got you there. It was a surprise. It was definitely a surprise. I mean,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
That made me like just remember back and she does have some curves. It's like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I wonder what happens to her body, honestly. I need to see an x-ray when she goes into the little ball. When
Oh.
the armor just envelops her into a little ball,
The
like
zip file.
yeah, an eighth of the size of her normal size.
Magic.
Yeah. That actually reminds me of. We don't talk about the Elder Scrolls that much here on this podcast yet, but the
Not yet.
Daedric armor. I remember specifically Skyrim. Man, that was so exciting. Finding all the Daedric stuff and eventually getting it. Oh,
Mhm.
that stuff was so OP and it looked amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, and the dragon armor, right? If I'm not mistaken, like any of the scaly looking with the horns and stuff, because I just like the way it looks. I mean, I don't know if it. Let me actually look here.
You toss that on an Argonian, chef's kiss.
Oh yeah,
But
Khajiit has wares. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
the dragon plate armor. That's exactly what I'm thinking of. Ah, so sick.
so I'm gonna bring back another old school one. It may not be the flashiest, but everyone definitely loved to wear this armor, the Power Rangers armor.
Yes,
hell yeah.
I got dibs on Red Ranger.
I was
Oh,
gonna say
my
Red Ranger.
Whatever.
It's so iconic with.
I'm Red Ranger.
So the helmet is just so weird, right? Because you would normally think of a motorcycle helmet, you have this opening for your mouth, but what they actually did was plastered a sculpture of a mouth.
Put it in the middle.
Right? Like, who thought
Like
of
the
that?
old Optimus Prime toy mouth.
I just don't understand the reasoning behind that.
Did anybody else have this experience? Like you had your friend group and everybody got to be the Ranger and like you somehow missed the boat and you didn't get to be the Red Ranger and you were kind of salty about it. And then the Green Ranger came along and you're like,
Oh yeah, green and white.
I'll
They
take
had the
the
shoulder
dragon.
pads. Like, come on.
Yeah.
the green-
Oh, sorry about it. Sorry, Jason. Tommy over here is just fine. I don't care. I don't need your little lion. I got a dragon. Come on.
I still
Basically
say
Godzilla,
the funniest,
Mechagodzilla.
Yes.
the funniest I ever laughed as a child, and you guys can all remember this, is when the Green Ranger was first introduced, and all the Power Rangers were in their their Zoids, right, and their bots.
Zords.
Green Ranger literally is on crack and just backflips, jumps into the Zoid, punches, knocks everyone out, girls included. There was like no prejudice. He knocks everyone out. Then he fights them on the beach, right? And he punches them and knocks him out too. And I remember the Pink Ranger was like, "Okay, ready," and he flat out busts her in the nose, and she falls to the ground. He was demonic. Like, that literally made him demonic when he first came out.
Buddy.
Yeah, that's how you make an entrance. It's like prison. You got to beat up the strongest people there right away to make it known.
Oh yeah, he doesn't know anybody any cigarettes. No. If we go further down the rabbit hole into armor, I don't know if the cardboard box in Metal Gear Solid counts as armor, but I spent a lot of time crawling around in that box. I'm going to say that right now.
I don't know if it counts as armor. A shield. It definitely protects you in one way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no Titanfall, right? It's not exactly mech armor, but it'll get the job done.
Cardboard mech suit. Oh no! That reminds me. Have you guys seen all these videos of these like super high end Transformers toys that people are getting? Like the self-transforming Megatron and Optimus Prime.
It just makes me.
That Megatron
with the cannon on his arm and everything.
Yeah.
It's voice
legit,
activated too, and it's heat activated.
Just like recoil.
Yeah,
so cool.
Yeah, these companies are doing a great job. It's like heat activated, where there's actual real smoke coming out. Voice activated.
Come a long way from
There's a little AI in there too. Like, you can talk to it and it will like think on its own.
I don't want my toys to think on their own. I've seen Small Soldiers.
Yeah,
I know how this goes.
Cosplay.
Yeah. Someone has already plugged a chatbot into an Optimus Prime, or worse, a Megatron, and it's currently plotting our demise.
Right.
Like, as we speak, it's figuring it out and probably already knows how.
Oh yeah, somebody's Roomba is about to go AWOL.
Yep. They're going to start the Transformers Roomba Coalition. Will be the beginning of Skynet.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's armor, there's weapons, and then of course there's spells, whether it's materia or the spells that you're leveling with whatever your starter was. Curious to hear what spells come to mind when you think of the most iconic ones, other than Knights of the Round from Final Fantasy VII, which is the greatest thing anybody's ever made that had anything to do with magic other than
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 100.
Well, I think I don't know why, but the first ones that came to mind actually were from BioShock. I was just thinking about the and they might not necessarily be spells, right? But yeah, I think all the different atom effects that you can do on BioShock just came to mind, right? Releasing the crows, the electricity, the fire, the
Pull that up with Fus Ro Dah, since we were just talking about Skyrim. Remember Fus Ro Dah? You just once you got that, you just run around blasting people off every mountaintop. You were like fearing the Yetis until then.
Yeah.
And you're like,
just
"Here,
yell at
buddy.
them.
See that cliff? Yeah, come over here, buddy." Boom! Oh, it was so good. Oh, so good.
For me, I'm just going to have to go Final Fantasy. I mean, I think the most iconic one for me recently is Final Fantasy, and it's Ifrit.
Oh, yeah.
When Ifrit first gets released, and you haven't played the game yet, it's really heavily based on the brothers Ifrit and the Phoenix. And when the Ifrit, the Phoenix, it was brutal. It was, normally with Final Fantasy game, Ifrit just punches. But this one, he was like clawing at the eyes. There was blood. He was literally choking the Phoenix.
Did you go full Tommy Power Rangers on it?
You know what I mean? It was like,
Is
what
Wayne
in
Brady
the
gonna have
world
the
is
children?
happening right now? Like, this is not Final Fantasy. This is like murder.
Keep my brother's name out your mouth.
Yeah.
Classic. Oh, well, let's go to then maybe a little step deeper, way back. I used to play Warhammer and tabletop game spells.
Yes.
What was their name? I used to use the rat people, and somebody's screaming it at the monitor right now. Skaven, the Skaven. I used to play with.
Skaven?
Yeah,
Sir,
and
you don't know the
they were all
Fake
spell
nerd. Fake nerd.
Yeah. But yeah, that used to be one of my favorites too, playing that tabletop game with Skaven. Wow. That's
Warhammer has evolved. Oh my god. Games Workshop has
oh yeah.
You looked away from that thing. I looked away for like 4 or 5 years and I come back and I'm like, what?
Yeah. As soon as Henry Colville said I play Warhammer, it was done.
100%. I'm gonna go with Fireball from like everything.
Mario
Baldur's Gate. Yeah, every game has a Fireball.
Yeah.
But for me, it's the Baldur's Gate 3 Fireball, which of course, you get your sorcerer up, you get your warlock going, and you can just drop like multiple fireballs in a turn, and it's just like it's Fallout in Baldur's Gate. It just is the nuke. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
But in actual D&D, the role of Fireball plays a really interesting part for everyone because it will literally blow up your whole party if you do it in the wrong setting or if you accidentally cast one under certain settings like wild magic. I love it. It's such a wild card.
Justin,
I mean, every time I'm thinking of a spell, I'm thinking of Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft. Like I'm trying to think of like normal games that have spells, but I just keep going back to RPGs.
No, that's all right. That's the jam. What about Harry Potter, the most recent Harry Potter game? As soon as I got Avada Kedavra, I was just everybody. Hey, how's it going, Avada Kedavra?
Yeah,
no, I'm good. Yeah. Avada Kedavra.
Yeah. I'd just be flying my broom around and I see some random people. I'm like, oh, okay, here you go.
They're like, oh, hello, Harry. They're like, oh, hey, Avada Kedavra.
That was a great game. I don't care what anybody says. I platinumed that on my PlayStation. It was so much fun. It was so much fun.
I played it a little bit. I was blown away with the spellcasting system because you have so many spells and it does a really good job of helping you get to them quickly.
I wish there was PvP.
Well, and still using the casting, like where you do the shapes and you have to mimic
there's
them.
Counters. Yeah, there's counters, and they should have definitely done the PvP. I'm so
Did
disappointed.
they not? Well, yeah, that's a bummer.
Do the
Wizard
what?
Duel. Didn't they do a VR Wizard Duel thing?
Oh no, there was a short
a copycat.
Yeah, there was a short piece. That was about it. But are they still doing DLC for that game? Do you guys know?
No, they're doing the Quidditch game.
Oh,
they're doing a full Quidditch game on that.
I'm cool with that. I'll take a look.
I mean, the game made like $1 trillion. Oh, War of Wizards, it looks like, is the everyday value generic version.
Yeah, it's the copycat
Harry
one. I
Potter.
see it on TikTok all
Hey,
the
we're
time.
not allowed to use the name, but we're going to call it this.
Yeah.
Yep.
I see it on TikTok all the time. There's this one dude on TikTok where he plays against like these 5-year-olds and like these 8-year-olds.
Oh, I've
and they're
seen
just
this guy.
scream.
He casts the ghosts when they die.
Yeah, and these kids, because they have little control when they die, and they're just like losing their shits. They're like, "Oh, I can't believe you countered my spell."
That's great content farming from children.
It's the way to do it,
It's
man.
like the coal mines of old. Yes.
That's the way to do it.
The black lung, daddy.
Why don't we finish up on X-Men '97? I think that'll be a good segue.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah, I just watched the last one. That was good.
The
And
shirt
your
will be
shirt's
out.
on.
I haven't watched a single episode, by the way. I need to.
Oh,
Like, I've got it. You ever have one of those shows or a game that you just like have in your back pocket and you're like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, when it's time, I'm ready. Like, here we go.
after you hear X-Men '97, one of the differences is in the '90s version. Everyone remembers the iconic theme song, right, John? You can still remember that
Oh, yeah.
iconic theme song.
Yeah.
You're going to appreciate watching X-Men '97 on Disney. You would think on a reboot or a remake, you would think they would totally dissect it like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle song. Totally dissect it, make it into like this, something you don't even recognize. But you're going to appreciate the Disney Plus one because you're going to see these little improvements, just slightly little improvements. But it's the same feeling in nostalgia.
Mm-hmm. So
Okay.
good. And they use the title opener. I don't know if you notice when they do the X-Men 97, every episode is different.
Yes.
They take characters out or plug
Yes, they take characters
in.
out.
I won't say too much, but just
Yes.
little things to look for in the intro.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what I love about X-Men '97 because you think it's one way because they did say they're going to reboot it and stuff like that. They do it you can tell people put their blood, sweat, and tears to make sure it comes out good.
Yeah.
Like these are actual fans. These are not Hollywood writers like Dragon Ball Z movie, right?
No, it's phenomenal. I mean, they picked up right where they left off so well. I heard that they specifically animated it the way they did to keep it looking right, keep the continuity of the old show.
Yeah.
And
Cannot wait.
I mean, it's so good. Yeah, it's so good.
You know what I'm going to legitimately do since I haven't watched it yet? I am going to go to physically go to a store and buy a box of Fruity Pebbles and a gallon of whole milk. If that's still, do they still make that? If they still make whole milk,
Oh yeah.
and I'm going to sit down. And I'm going to pour it into a big metal bowl.
Yep.
And get a wooden spoon.
Yep.
And I'm going to eat that thing while I watch this show.
Gonna go.
You know what that
full
reminds me
Adam
of? Home Alone 2, where he's in or Home Alone 1, where he's eating the big wooden spatula spoon from his cereal bowl.
Sandler.
Mhm.
I can see John doing that.
It's classic. It's Saturday morning cartoon classic.
Yeah, and John, you're going to since you haven't watched it yet, like I said, you're really going to appreciate how they didn't totally just transfer the '90s version. Like they
Yeah.
kept that same.
Oh, and the action is so good.
Oh yeah,
So good.
And I will say the storyline actually improved.
Yeah. It's funny.
It
did.
actually improved from the original. I can't say too much.
It's hard not to say too much.
It's hard not to say. Yeah, just forget everything you know about the '90s and start off like fresh. Start just fresh watching
I'm
that.
excited.
Besides
I'm excited about it.
the just perfect crop top, hot pink outfits that
And
Gambit
I
and them
wish
wear.
people made that shirt.
I
wish-
might be
'cause
wearing
I will
that.
buy
in our
that
next
shirt.
episode.
Yeah,
I would buy that shirt in a heartbeat.
it
Maybe
makes
we'll
an
find it
appearance.
next week
That shirt was
episode.
available.
That
If only.
crop top shirt. that
What if
80s,
all
90s,
three of us wore the hot pink rock and roll crop top?
Bring
Kiwi.
it on.
I'm down.
I know
Bring it
Justin's
on.
got the abs for it. Kiwi.
I'm ready.
I'm
All right.
down.
So it shall be.
I'm
That
ready.
is-
So it is written. So
Yeah.
it shall
You
be.
guys-
And then homework for you, John. You got to watch at least up to episode 5. At least.
Yes.
I 100% am excited to do this.
To
And
five.
to consume
yes.
500 grams of sugar in the course of this
Yeah.
action.
Trust me, it won't be hard. It won't be hard to do.
Yeah. And,
You
it's,
guys-
and they're-
you-
it's easy to watch, too. What are they, like 20?
Oh yeah, they're not long.
It's not long at all.
90s. Do you guys I don't want to change the subject too much, but talking about the shows that just finished up, are you guys into Star Wars at all? Because Bad Batch just finished up and they did an amazing job. I I was standing and like 5 feet from the TV by the time it was done.
They
I
got
didn't
a
even
lot of
realize.
awards.
Wow.
They got a lot of awards from their from the voices, and then also the story.
Yeah,
The story.
great wrap up too. I mean, good for them. They did such a good job. That
But
was
Star Wars is coming out with what what is that new show called?
Well, they got
the
two new-
Acolyte or
Yeah, the Acolyte.
yeah.
The Acolyte.
Yep. And then the new game coming out. I'm so stoked for this Star Wars game. Oh yeah.
Oh, we don't
I
talk about
can't.
that.
I honestly cannot stay up on all the Star Wars stuff. Like, there's just so much all the time. I feel like that. I feel like the old man that I am. Oh,
Well, we talked
It's hard
about
to
this.
keep up.
Well, we talked about this last time. Saturation of superhero movies, and the Hollywood writers they know about this because we definitely saturated the market superhero movies and spin-offs, especially Disney Plus. Disney Plus came out with a spin-off show almost every single month, and so Disney and Marvel said, "Okay, we're gonna scale it back. We're not gonna do as many spin-offs as."
Well, I mean, good for them because it's like Star Wars and Marvel, and maybe it has to do with the Disney umbrella, but they both went through like this exact same bell
Same
curve
time.
of like just
Same time.
oversaturated,
Like, I
ridiculous
appreciated
content, and then nobody
probably
liked
not
it.
an accident.
Yeah, and then they're going back to this reset. They're all like
They're all
resetting
resetting,
now.
yeah. I mean, I appreciated watching Ashoka. I appreciated watching Loki, but again, like John said to his testament, it was just hard to keep up. It was just like, okay, what happened? What did I miss? Like, I want to take it in slowly. Like, give me my Loki slowly. Give me my, Ashoka.
You know what it feels like? It feels a little bit like the way that Disney executes Disneyland, where the idea is not everything is for everyone, but there's something for each person. Like, and so you look at Star Wars, and if you're into the darker side, here's your Bad Batch. If you're into something a little bit lighter, here's your maybe most of the Mandalorian. You want to watch some Grogu, or Marvel certainly has that. You've got everything like from the super light to the pretty
Super
dang dark stuff.
Yeah, super dark and super weird, right?
Deadpool, right? Yeah.
Moon Knight tripped me out. Like, if you never seen Moon Knight, it's based on a person with multiple personalities, and they definitely played that to the bone in that TV show. I got confused so many times watching that show.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
Wow. Well, this has been a fantastic week to be Navi. I'm so glad we got to go play way back in the nostalgia sandbox, talk about the Master Sword, talk about Master Chief's armor, talk about some incredible materia from all of these different Final Fantasy games, # Justin Williams. And so, hey, next week, who's our Navi next week? Are we going back to, is it J-Dubs?
Nope.
Nope, that's going to be me.
It's going to be
me. Oh, wait, sorry, hold on.
But I will say one thing real quick. I can't believe we forgot these two swords, and I just realized it.
Uh-oh.
Thundercat sword and He-Man sword.
Oh, yeah.
By the power of
Thunder.
Two of the most iconic.
Well, we didn't even talk about the Halo sword either, right?
We could have done like 5 episodes on
swords.
Weapons.
We could just do the sword.
Because then we talk about Ninja Turtles. We
got hung up on the magical spells. Like, we were all like, but swords? Yeah, you could definitely go on forever.
And that's just games. That's just games. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Go to movies, too, and yeah, that's
game over, man.
Well, anyways, a great show. Thanks for hosting, John.
All right, geeks out.
See you next time.
Bye, Felicia.